You ever had your life ripped open by a woman in a $1,000 suit, standing in a freezing spring, screaming that you're a parasite while the news cameras eat it up? Yeah, that happened to me, Griffin Ashford, washed-up scientist, public enemy number one, live on local TV. Vivian Blackstone, our HOA president and suburban warlord, had lost her mind, stomping around in the water, hair dripping, looking like some deranged mermaid in Chanel. "You're everything wrong with America," she shrieked, jabbing her finger at me like I'd poisoned the well with my bare hands. People gasped, some backed away, as if the hate in her voice might spill over and scald them too. That's when I called my uncle. "Hey, Uncle Roderick, remember that federal environmental fraud case you've been building? Yeah, your target's screaming her confession at me on TV right now." The silence that hit next, you could practically feel it crackle. The news crews, the county officials. Even Vivian froze, realizing the game just changed, big time. But let me back up a sec, so you know how I got there. 18 months ago, I was just an environmental scientist with a good lab, a great research partner, and a future. Then the accident happened. One miscalculation, one chemical reaction gone wrong, and Sarah, my friend, my heart, maybe more, was gone. I survived with burns, guilt, nightmares you wouldn't wish on anyone. All that settlement money felt like blood on my hands, so I disappeared. Some folks thought I went full hermit. Truth was, I needed to heal somewhere. Nobody knew my story. That's when Dr. Hartwell, my trauma counselor, told me about this old billionaire, Theodore Vancourt, who'd left his spring property in North Carolina to someone who needed a second shot at life. The rules? 2 years living there, protecting the springs from development, and proving they were worth saving. Honestly, the place sounded like a fairy tale. 47 acres of crystal water bubbling straight from the earth, untouched and hidden from developers. The kind of spot people would kill to get their hands on, if they only knew. I moved in. Little cabin. Solar panels. Enough peace and quiet to let my skin and soul knit themselves back together. I thought I'd found sanctuary. The spring itself, man, it was a miracle. Water so pure it could supply 50,000 homes, and a secret only a dead eccentric and his lawyer knew how to keep. For the first few months, life got simple. Healing. I even slept through a night here and there. But trouble. You know, it never stays away for long. Vivian Blackstone found out I existed, and for a woman who lived for power, finding a resource she couldn't control was like waving a red flag in front of a bull. She'd built her career on greenwashing, making dirty corporations look clean, so scamming a conservation grant was child's play for her. Silverbrook Estates, her HOA fiefdom, sat downhill from my land, and she wanted my spring. She started with a slick proposal. Make my property a community environmental asset, get federal grant money, and pocket most of it, all while sticking "please don't litter" signs on my land. And that's when the legal games began. Suddenly, I'm getting fined for unauthorized water retention, which, translated from HOA, means your spring exists and we're mad about it. Fake inspectors started showing up, guys in uniform, taking water samples, but asking all the wrong questions. I called the county, nobody'd sent them. Social media mobs followed, painting me as the evil upstream hoarder. My picture, my house, splashed all over Silverbrook Community Watch. Every keyboard warrior in the county had something to say. Week 4, things got bold. A woman with a forged county badge tried to shut down my spring for contamination. Good thing I had real water tests, cleaner than any tap in the county. She cracked fast, admitted she was a contractor, not health department. I started installing cameras, and that's when the full scope of the scam showed up. Teams sneaking around before dawn, measuring flow rates, taking soil samples, mapping every inch of my property. Vivian wanted everything: the water, the science, the profit, and, most of all, the power. Digging into public records, I discovered she'd already pulled the same scam in 3 other towns, hundreds of thousands in grant money, barely a tree planted or a sign posted, just a web of shell companies funneling cash to her friends. But here's where the story really flips. Her latest application, using my spring as the showpiece, caught federal eyes. My uncle, Commissioner Roderick Thornfield, had been tracking environmental grant fraud for years, and Vivian's Ancient Springs Conservation Project set off every alarm. Turns out, while Vivian thought she was gaming the system, Dr. Hartwell had quietly passed word to Uncle Roderick, who coordinated a federal investigation without tipping her off. The plan? Let Vivian escalate, gather her own rope, and then catch her when she crossed the line. Vivian's big moment came at a packed community meeting, news, cameras, politicians, everyone. She strutted in, ready to turn me into the neighborhood villain and herself into a green hero. What she didn't know was that half the audience were undercover federal agents, recorders hidden in jackets and purses, ready to document every lie. She started her speech, charts, maps, dazzling numbers, all stolen from my own research, all wrapped up in fake legalese. She claimed the HOA had the right to seize the spring for community stewardship, cited laws that didn't exist, and announced her project had already secured $500,000 in federal grant money. Applause, cameras, the whole performance. But as questions started coming, cracks appeared. An old gentleman, my uncle, keeping it incognito, asked about her legal authority over private land. She doubled down with more nonsense. And that's when I stood up. Before you talk conservation, I said, maybe explain why your grant application is full of lies about property ownership and water rights. The room went silent, then buzzed as Vivian snapped back, accusing me of selfishness and obstruction. But then Uncle Roderick stood up, dropped the act, and announced, I'm County Commissioner Thornfield, and I've been investigating environmental grant fraud for 2 years. Tonight, you gave us everything we needed. Badges flashed, agents closed in, and Vivian's confidence crumbled in front of every camera. She went from queen bee to caught con artist in about 30 seconds, trying to stammer her way out while federal agents led her away in handcuffs. You should have seen the look on the neighbors' faces: betrayal, relief, maybe a little awe. The project they thought would save their water turned out to be a scam to steal it. Over the next few weeks, Vivian was charged with a laundry list of federal crimes. The HOA was dissolved, the money trail uncovered, and the Silverbrook properties actually went up in value with the crooks gone. Turns out, people like living somewhere honest. Then, just when I thought it was over, Theodore's lawyer showed up. That old man had left a secret clause: if I managed to protect the spring for 2 years and expose any fraud targeting it, a $50 million endowment would kick in to fund real conservation and education. The fake projects Vivian dreamed up? We made them real: trails, signs, school tours, hands-on science programs for kids. Dr. Hartwell now runs community outreach, and my uncle sits on our foundation board, making sure no scammer ever gets close again. And the spring? Still bubbling, pure as ever. Sometimes I watch the sun come up, coffee in hand, and marvel at how close we came to losing something irreplaceable. The same water that healed me after Sarah's death now teaches the next generation why some things are too precious to sell, too sacred to trust to greed. Funny thing, Vivian wrote me from prison. Said, I could have done this legitimately. She was right, but she never understood that protecting something is worth more than owning it. So, let me throw it out to you. If someone tried to steal your legacy under the guise of community good, what would you do? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me your wildest HOA or property war story, or just where you're watching from. Because this kind of fight happens everywhere. And sometimes, the only thing standing between justice and corruption is a stubborn scientist with nothing left to lose. If you made it this far, give it a like, subscribe for more stories like this, and remember, justice, like water, always finds its level.